am Danielle Canada with BOSSIP.com. So talk to me about these roles on Underground. When you guys initially picked up the script, what made you want to play John and what made you want to play Elizabeth?
The script.
Okay.
Yeah. I read the script and was begging for them to get me in the room on this because there's one scene in particular that I thought for Elizabeth selfishly was the best way to introduce a character that I had read particularly for a woman for a very, very long time. And then, throughout the whole pilot, the choices they make are so incredibly beautiful and different and interesting. I think we were all begging to be a part of this.
Every actor was you so responded to the material, whether it was your story or line or not, and for me to see it, to see a character who kind of starts all talk and gets challenged in the pilot to kind of get in the game, get your hands dirty, and when you see shows and characters handled so well and written so well, you know that over the course of the season, your character is going to move and going to make and be forced to make decisions. And when you start, as we've said from the beginning, we're so buttoned up and proper and civil. There's only one way to go, and that's to get a little more animalistic and dirty. And that's always fun for an actor. And it was a joy for us every time we were like, "Oh, we got the script. Did you read it yet?" That's a nice place to be in a series when you really have that kind of excitement around getting each piece.
Right. Now talk to me about John. He and his brother are on two different sides, obviously.
They're in the same gene pool, but you wouldn't know it.
Talk about the dynamic of their relationship.
We talked about that a lot because on day one, Reed and I, who plays my brother, had a scene, and he and I and Anthony tried to really crack that code of hey, what's their backstory? What was this division of assets in a way, this moral compass that they are so completely, to have a brother that is in the South and running a plantation and has been for a long time and believes in everything that I don't, so it was fun. I loved those scenes, and there's not a ton of them throughout the season where these two cross paths, and how brotherly is it, and how, it's I think they put on a face, and again, it's one of the brilliant things that they've done in this show is what you see is not always what you get. Right. And every character has an awful lot going on, both in themselves and in the relationships and situations that they're in. So I think that we get to a pretty interesting place as the season goes on that obviously I don't want to say just yet.
Okay. And Elizabeth is a scene stealer. Every time we saw her in a scene, there was just audible, talk and chatter among us. We loved Elizabeth. Talk to me about how she is as a character.
Wait a second, she was in all those scenes with me.
We loved you too.
Stop, I'm playing.
But it was Elizabeth.
It's the truth. Yeah, that's right.
She's very dynamic. She's very complex. Talk to me about her.
Elizabeth is a gift. The writing is a gift. That's the kind of writing that you always want as an actor and you rarely come across, especially in TV. And I think she's a complex woman, and her journey together is so massive. It's such a big journey, but where we find Elizabeth, I think all of her her trauma is quite internal and inward, and she very quickly refocuses that to something else and really does throw everything at it. But I think the scene where we meet Elizabeth is one of my favorite scenes. Who gets an introduction like that? She's literally throwing a sledgehammer around.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to it. Every character almost starts in a very internal, selfish place, and then you realize
very quickly
it has to go from selfish to selfless, and they're making decisions for others. And I think that's a very I think that's a good lesson in life. It's when you're on yourself, sometimes you're in a rut. Right. And the minute you start being in service of others or making decisions for something bigger, then your life kind of changes.
Right. That's proven is the greatest happiness comes from giving to other people and helping other people. That's what makes people happy. So it's still kind of selfish.
Way to bring that back around.
I guess just lastly, what do you guys want people to learn from your two characters? We finally see some abolitionists. We don't get that a lot in some of these movies about that time period.
That's what I love about this show is that it's a well-known topic, and I would say probably a quite discussed topic, but it's so personal. These characters these people, they're human beings, and each of them is so complex and so colorful, And I think it really does put a human perspective on the topic again. I think, you know, you bringing these people into your homes and on your TV, like, hopefully every week.
And in terms about what to learn, I think that, you know, they are the perfect example, again, in how it was conceived on the page of, here's two people that have a certain moral compass, an ideal, that have an idea, and they go and speak on it, but then they get a call to action. Get off the couch and do something. And they go and do it, and you have to sign up for a ride. It's dangerous, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you're a pinball. And you're going to have to just kind of go with the flow. But in that, they find a new education, a new friendships, a new lease on their relationship, and their life opens up. As dangerous and small and contained as it is, they reinvent themselves within that. And I think that that's a lesson that we could all be reminded of occasionally.
Yeah, and hopefully, you know, as an audience, hopefully you'll see these people actually acting on something. And hopefully as an audience, people will, you know, use their voice a little more. You know, it's all well and good to be, you know, opposed to something or for something, but until you do something about it, and that's a challenge. It's always a challenge. That's the hard route, but that's the thing that makes a difference.
Well, thank